Welcome back to Kat's Kitchen. My name is Kat, and today we're going to recreate the Starbucks iced non-dairy caramel cookie matcha. If you haven't tried this drink yet, it is honestly very, very good. And if you are a dairy-free beverage drinker, this drink is perfect for you because there's no dairy in it. I love that Starbucks is now offering a dairy-free cold foam, but they're charging like $1.25 or $1.45 just for the cold foam, which is crazy to me. And this drink at Starbucks is almost $7 for a grande, which is way too much money for a matcha latte, in my opinion, but it does taste really good and it's very, very simple to make at home. So let me show you how to recreate this beverage if you are a fan of it, or if you're just looking for a dairy-free matcha latte that tastes fabulous. Ingredients you'll need: a little bit of water and a sweetened matcha powder. I'm gonna combine these. This step is optional. I just find that when you combine the matcha powder with some water first before adding in milk, the matcha just dissolves a lot better, and then you're not stuck with too much of that clumpy like matcha powder on the bottom of the drink. A little bit of water, about a tablespoon or two, and then this is the sweetened matcha powder that I like. It's by Jade Leaf. Starbucks uses a sweetened matcha powder, so I am also. This is different than a ceremonial grade matcha, like a high quality matcha, where you would add matcha to a sifter, sift the matcha, add some hot water, and then whisk together. We are not going to do that because they're different types of matcha. This one, all you need to do is mix with a little bit of water and then add milk because it is different than ceremonial grade. So keep that in mind. You can absolutely use the ceremonial grade matcha. Just know that that's not going to be sweetened and you'll have to add sugar to it to make it taste more like Starbucks. The Starbucks matcha powder is sweetened, it has sugar. It is different than a ceremonial grade matcha. This Jade Leaf one tastes a lot like Starbucks, so that's why I use that one. Matcha, water, then we need some salted caramel syrup. I love this one by Torani. You could also use a caramel syrup if you have it, or caramel, and then add a little pinch of flaky sea salt. But if you happen to have the salted caramel syrup, or you can get your hands on it, choose this one. You can buy this from Torani website. Where did I get this little baby bottle? I think Target has the salted caramel syrup. Some grocery stores will carry it. This is different than the classic caramel. If you see the classic caramel, totally fine. Grab that, add a pinch of sea salt. Salted caramel, you can also get it from Amazon. Then we need some oat milk and some soy milk. I am using this Muala one because I just had it on hand and I didn't want to buy another oat milk. But if you don't currently have oat milk in your fridge or pantry, the ones I very much recommend are the Oatly Barista Edition oat milk or the Chobani Extra Creamy oat milk. Both of them have a delightful flavor, super duper creamy oat milk texture, and will go really well in the cold foam. This one's okay. This brand is not my favorite. It's not nearly like as sweet tasting, as rich tasting as the Oatly or Chobani, but this is an option if you see it in store. Ideally, you want a barista style oat milk because there's gonna be some oil in there. It's gonna be thicker. It's gonna froth up really nicely, but you do you, depending on your flavor preference, your ingredient preference. Use a cleaner option or one with oils, whatever you want. You also need soy milk. The cold foam has a combination of both of these. So if you're just wanting to add oat milk, it is gonna miss a little bit of the creaminess, a little bit of the sweetness. I did get an unsweet soy milk, but they do have sweetened versions, which is gonna be more like Starbucks. I don't need the extra sweetness. We're already adding the salted caramel syrup, but again, that's my preference, you do you. I'm just giving you guidelines for the ingredients you'll need. You need oat milk, you need soy milk, and then you can play around with the sweetness level, the thickness level, etc., based on which product you get. Also want to mention you can do sugar-free salted caramel syrup if you want. Torani does have a sugar-free version. It's delightful and delicious. And then you can lower the sugar that way. And then the last thing we need is some kind of cookie topping. These are the Siete grain-free Mexican shortbread cookies. These are like a vanilla cinnamon cookie. The Starbucks cookie crumbles are like cinnamon sugar cookie. Cinnamon sugar vanilla cookie crumbles. So I'm just gonna crush up some of these cookies or one of these cookies and add it to the top, and then you get a little extra cinnamoniness texture. But you can totally just do like a sprinkle of cinnamon on top if you want. Oh, and then ice, because we're doing an iced version. That's all you need. Let's get started with the recipe. All right, very first step is to make the matcha latte. So I am gonna add in my water into my cup, 1 to 2 tablespoons of water, and then my sweetened matcha powder. And to this, I wanna do 2 to 3 teaspoons. 3 teaspoons will give you obviously more of a matcha flavor. 2 teaspoons will give you less. I like 3. I like a bit of a stronger matcha vibe. That way you can really taste it, especially since we're adding the cold foam on top. That's gonna give the drink more sweetness, more creaminess. So I really want the matcha flavor to come through. Add as much or as little as you like of the matcha powder. And we're creating just a little tiny matcha concentrate here in the cup. I want to mix this until it's fully dissolved. The powder is fully dissolved into the water. And then we just have just a little matcha concentrate. This was room temperature water. You don't need warm water for this. You can, it'll just dissolve a tad bit easier. Room temperature water or cold water works just fine. And feel free to completely skip this step, just combine matcha and milk together, but I like creating a little matcha concentrate and then adding milk in just for it to dissolve a little bit better. And tasting that, you can taste the sweetness of it. If you don't have a sweetened matcha, you can sweeten it using a liquid sweetener like this Torani cane sugar one. You could also just add some table sugar, mix that together, sweeten it however you want. The liquid sweetener adds sweetness without changing the flavor. So that's what that cane sugar will do. Then we add some oat milk. I'm gonna do about 8 to 10-ish ounces. Just enough so that we can add ice and still have room for the cold foam. Again, I would prefer the Oatly Barista Edition or the Chobani Extra Creamy. Then I have some ice. And then leaving room on top for that cold foam. You can use a disposable cup so it feels a little bit like you bought it from a coffee shop, or don't, whatever. I'm just using this plastic one to make it look and feel a little bit more like Starbucks. And then I like that they have ridges on the cup so that way you can like kind of measure how much cold foam you want. This is how much cold foam I'm gonna add. Whatever cup you like. This is our iced matcha latte, dairy-free because we used oat milk. And then just set this aside momentarily while we do the non-dairy salted caramel cold foam. You need a little cup and a handheld milk frother. I love this one by Bonson Kitchen. I'll link it in the description. It just is ideal. I'm not gonna lie. It's, oh! Gosh darn it, Katerina. Faith Diaz. I did not put it on right. That's cool. Love that for me. Love that for me. Yeah, yeah. Love that for me. Hey, yeah. You need the milk frother. You need oat milk. You need salted caramel syrup or caramel syrup with a pinch of sea salt. And then you need soy milk. First, going into my cup is the salted caramel syrup. Feel free to add as much or as little as you want. More syrup is going to be more sweet, more caramel flavor. Less syrup, less sweet, less caramel flavor, less sugar. Again, you can use the sugar-free version if you want. I'm gonna do about a tablespoon. Then going in with 1 to 2 tablespoons of oat milk and 1 to 2 tablespoons of the soy milk. The soy milk is gonna give a nice soy flavor, kind of like a nutty flavor with some added creaminess. Beautiful. And then we froth this mixture together until it's nice and thick and foamy. We just froth for about a minute or so. We really just want this mixture to get nice and thick and foamy and frothy and bubbly. You can already see it's like increasing in volume. I want this to get as thick as possible so it stays as much as possible on top of the matcha latte. It'll sink in a little bit just because it's a non-dairy foam. The fat in dairy is what helps the normal cold foam stay on top. You're using milk and heavy cream. So it's a high fat content combo, and that's why the normal cold foam will stay on top of the drink for a long period of time. But the oat milk and the soy milk, I believe both have oil in them. And the oil is a fat as well, which helps with getting the milks thick and frothy and will stay on top, even if it's just a little bit. All right, this is pretty thick, pretty frothy and bubbly. Beautiful. Tastes delicious. I actually really, really, really love the flavor of this. It's delightful. And we're gonna add that dairy-free cold foam over the top, just like that. Beautiful, oh my word. And the last step is to crush the cookies so I can have that little cookie crumble topping. These are the Siete Mexican shortbread. You can find them at Sprouts, Whole Foods. I think Walmart might sell them nowadays. You just do 1 cookie, but add 5 if you want. Starbucks gave me like the smallest pinch of topping I've ever seen in my life. Beat it to a pulp and we'll add it on top. And look at that cold foam. It stayed right on top. Go me. And I just have the crumble topping. Oh my goodness gracious. It's beautiful. You're beautiful. La da di da. Don't look at my face. Look at my matcha. Do, 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 do. So pretty. All right. And I went and grabbed the one from Starbucks. It's been, I don't know, an hour? Yeah, it's been 1 hour exactly since I bought this one. Naturally, the cold foam has seeped in, but this is what they look like side by side. I mean, very, very, very similar in color. Their matcha powder is like a smidge greener than mine, like vibrant green, but still beautiful, right? You can't tell me this isn't just beautiful. She's stunning. And let's do a taste test. I'm sorry about the slurps. Let me get a straw. Yum. Yeah, these are so similar. If anything, I would say their cold foam is just a little bit sweeter. So if you want to add another tablespoon or half a tablespoon of the salted caramel, it would be even closer. Overall, that is delicious and delightful. I'm a huge fan of this drink, if you hadn't noticed. The matchas are very similar too. I think definitely use the Oatly Barista Edition oat milk or the Chobani Extra Creamy, and this would be almost an identical dupe, cold foam wise and matcha latte wise. I just happen to have the Moala, and I want to get through this before I buy more oat milk. All around, 10 out of 10, this drink is delicious. This drink is so easy to make. It's honestly really fun. It tastes like matcha ice cream or caramel matcha ice cream, and it's dairy free. And then also depending on which products you use, you can make this a lower sugar option by using sugar-free salted caramel syrup. You can even use a sugar-free matcha powder. Instead of the jade leaf sweetened one we used, you can use like a ceremonial grade one and then add your choice of sweetener, maple syrup, agave, stevia, whatever, to sweeten the matcha latte itself. And then using the unsweetened soy milk. And then depending on which oat milk you use, that would be the only sugar in the beverage. But let me know in the comments if you give this recipe a try or what you think of the Starbucks version. If you like it, if you don't like it, if you think $7 for this drink is outrageous, like I do. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it gave you some inspiration for a drink that you can make yourself at home for cheaper than Starbucks, or maybe it just gave you an idea of adding cold foam to your iced matcha latte. Let me know in the comments down below if you have a Starbucks drink you want to see me recreate at home, and I will add that to my list, and I will see you in the next video. Mwah. God bless.